Hey everybody, this week's episode of the R&R Show is brought to you by Crafting Kingdoms. And hello, Ruel, how are you doing? That's a good start.
The best way to start. It's even better that we're starting this way. It's just funny, and look, I'm in a place with no games whatsoever. I'm back home. I'm
Yay.
so happy to be back home.
Yep.
Folks, you've heard, I've been here. I was out of the house for almost 3 months due to plumbing issues, but they've gotten everything fixed. We're just waiting for all the stuff from storage to return. It'll be here in a few days. Thankfully, I cannot wait to get everything here. I miss my games. I just miss the games, you know, and
Yes.
almost like my security blanket. But I do have some games in the closet here, and I have games, plenty of games to play to get me through. But anyways, it's almost Thanksgiving week. I mean, it is Thanksgiving week. It's almost Thanksgiving.
Yep.
How are you doing, Richard?
I'm doing fine, especially because I've got my good buddy here, the Adventurer from Crafting Kingdoms. This is actually on GameFound right now, and they're sponsoring the show. It's called The Adventurer, and this is a big boy. You can barely even see it on screen, even if I give myself. This has a lot of really cool features. It's crowdfunding right now, and it's so big, to show it off, I had to set up a new camera angle I've never used before. Let me go to this overhead view, and look at this thing. So, there are several really cool features about this. One of them is the flexibility and the variety you have, because it comes with 3 different sets of straps. Backpack-style straps, over-the-shoulder straps. You see one on front. And we've also got a pair of handle straps. And the reason there are all these straps is because they're not attached. You can snap them on however you want. You can have the shoulder strap go across or from one side to the other. I could actually take this shoulder strap off. This is kind of like a standard way you sling it over your shoulder, right? I could just go on ahead and unsnap it down here and put it over here on the back. And now I've got one that it hangs lengthwise like that in case you don't want your boxes to shift. And not only does it have all this flexibility, you don't care about over-the-shoulder straps? Hey, you can just turn it into a backpack because it's got all these on the back. So there's lots of different ways you can set it up. And other cool features about it, for people who love to take their mats, I mean, I've got practically a game convention's worth of games in here, which I'll show you in a second. But, the mats aren't going to fit, but it comes with these cool little things that you can roll up your mats, put them in, and then cinch it down, and you've got your player mats that you can carry around with you everywhere, too. So that's a really nice touch. Let me go on ahead and open it up. And, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff in here. Let's see here. Where's the zipper? It's waterproof materials, so you don't have to worry about going out in the rain. And hey, I'm the life of the party with Monolith and Terra Nova and Ortalum and Sumatra and a whole bunch of other games. But hey, it's not just these 7 big full-size games that I've got. There are games inside the front. I've got, oh my goodness, room for little tiny games, Farm Fuss, and let's see. Oh, I'm really actually excited to play this one. The latest from Shady Torbe, Stellarium. That's actually a medium-sized little box fitting in just these side pockets. And how about some Zombie Crisis? I'm not done yet. I brought even more games to the party, Ruel. Coming into the side things. Hey, Memory of Embers. And more. Do you feel like some sunset over water? That's a nice little one. You got room for big ones and little ones. Hey, how about Marvel Remix? Or if you prefer Star Trek Missions. There's still more, Ruel, that I'm bringing to game night.
Oh my gosh.
This never ends. Hey, here's Star Trek Pinball, if you don't feel like a Star Trek card game. Shapers of Gaia. All of this stuff. And because this is so flexible, the way that you can mix and match how you want the straps to go, it just gives you it makes it as comfortable as possible for you to carry it in whatever way works best for you. If you want to sling it over your back, you want to sling it over your shoulder, you want to just carry it on the side like an attaché case, you can do it because of all the flexibility of how you can put all of your different straps on. And it comes with all these straps. Really cool ideas. I've never really seen anything quite like it. The Adventurer. Phew.
That is so neat. And yeah, that is RahdoCon in a bag right now.
Yeah, definitely,
Wow,
But that's not all.
The little pockets. Oh, it's so cool.
That is not all, because Crafting Kingdom, in addition to fundraise to do the Adventurer bag, which, by the way, folks, one lucky viewer of this show can win. We'll tell you about that in a second, how to enter to win. Let's go back to the overhead view. I talked about how, hey, that's really nice that you can carry your mats around, right? On that little side thing. They're also putting out a new line of full table mats you can use. And it comes in, 6 different colors, 8 different sizes. It's really, really nice quality. A very, tight mesh fiber. I'm scratching it with my fingernail. I'm not seeing any kind of scuffing on it. That's really nice. But I'm bearing the leads. I have never seen a board game mat do this ever. Are you ready, Ruel?
I'm ready.
Boop. LED strip. Oh, yeah, this is so cool. I forget how many different colors you can just tap and cycle through. Green and blue and purples and reds and orange. And I think there's a gold in here. Cool. So you got all these different ones you can go with. Or you can go with, like, this is one where it's just like fading up and fading down between the different colors. Okay, there goes the green. Here comes the blue. Or you can do more of a Christmas tree type thing where it's just like, the colors are just racing around. And there's a slower version of that too, where they're racing around a bit more slowly. And then there's the one where, okay, they're just moving around really slow, which I think is my favorite. But then there's another option as well, which is, we're back to the game. I think there were 3 or 4 different animated ways you can go. But yeah, you can just set this to any color you want. It is so cool. Let's go for the Tron color. Let's get out your light cycles, obviously. Hey, Alexa, turn the lights off. And here we go, with just a few little spotlights. I mean, obviously it's not enough to light up an entire board in a pitch black room like what I've got here, but this is so much fun. I was mostly in the bag. They said, hey, well, we'll send you out a bag so you can, when we sponsor a show, you can show it to people and whatnot. That was really cool. Oh, you have game mats too? Okay, that's kind of nice. I didn't even know about this LED thing, but it's just about the coolest thing I have ever seen. I've just, when I'm done filming for the day, I just leave this on. And when we're walking around in the kitchen, we can say, oh, look at all the bright colors in the room and stuff like that. So neat. Alexa, lights on. I love it. There we go.
I love it. That's so cool.
Very, very cool.
Neat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something I've never seen as well. That's the first time we've seen LED and built into a playmat. That's brilliant.
Yeah, such a clever idea. And like I said, the sponsor of the show, Crafting Kingdoms, is running a Game Found campaign right now. You can follow the links down in the show notes. You can order, like I said, there's the different sizes and colors of the mat. They've got the bag. And one lucky viewer of this show is going to win their choice, a mat with or without the LED. I don't know why you wouldn't want the LED, though, because it's really, really cool. Or the adventurer bag. Ruel, what do they have to do to win?
So, folks, you're going to watch this episode and keep your ears open because one of us is going to say the magic word. Now, Richard alluded to it. He actually said it. The word is Tron. Yes. So you're going to listen for the word Tron. One of us is going to say it, and then what you're going to do is take a note of the game that we're talking about, the game, not the word Tron, and then send that in an email to contest@rahdo.com. List the game, and then, that'll be your entry into the contest, and you'll be able to win.
Yep. And whoever you are, you will be the envy of all your board game friends. If they come over to your house and you surprise them by turning this thing on, or you take literally a mini convention's worth of games over to their house in a waterproof bag that is totally adjustable to be the most comfortable for you carrying. Really impressed with both of these products, folks. That's Crafting Kingdom. Thank you very much for supporting the show. And Ruel, with that out of the way, are you ready to be thankful?
I am very thankful for a lot of things. Honestly, the first thing I'm thankful is just being home. So it's so nice to be home again. I want to thank everyone who's sent messages, public and private, for your support. I really appreciate it. But yes, I'm ready to talk about games that we're thankful for. And, we came up with this idea. This is going to be a different type of list today, friends. Yeah. This is totally different than what we've ever done here, I think. And do you want to talk a little bit about the background as far as why we came up with it and everything?
Well, it's just, this is the week for Thanksgiving, which obviously is a traditionally American holiday. I know Canada has a similar version at some other time in the year. But I think all cultures around the world do have time set aside where they want to give thanks for, all the good things in their life. And this was a bonus episode brought to us by Crafting Kingdom. Thanks very much to them. And it just seemed appropriate to spend a little bit of time not talking about all the latest, hottest games that have come out, or any of that kind of stuff, or, all the Kickstarters, but hey, let's just reflect. When I started doing it, my first thought was, this is going to be a hard list to make, because I'm just going to say my top 10 favorite games. But, and I could have done that easily, But that's not really the case, because a lot of my games, yeah, I absolutely love them, but it's not like I have some kind of really personal connection with the game. And for me, the 5 I'm going to talk about, they all have a big meaning for me in my life, or the industry, or my channel, all kinds of stuff. And I assume the same is true with you.
Yeah, that's exactly how I approach it. Like I was looking, I could have just gone with my top, 5 favorite games as well, but I was like, no, let's really think about this, and how has each of these games changed my life, either professionally or personally.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear the stories behind each of these the games here.
Okay, well then, without any further ado, let's get going with the top 10 games we're most thankful for, starting with our number 10, Ruel.
Yes.
What have you got?
Okay, our number 10 is Rap Godz. And this is a game that came out a couple of years ago. I backed it on Kickstarter. Well, actually, I got the Kickstarter Deluxe Edition after the campaign was over. So Omari Keel, the designer of the game, and as you can see there, that's my family and I playing it on the old days of our stream when we first started streaming at Live at 5. And that's our dog Bruno, who passed away. Rest in peace, Bruno. But that is Rap Godz. It is the coolest theme. I mean, I love hip hop. I love rap. And if you see there, that is a turntable, and it's the board, and it's set collection with hand management. And I wanted to say, Omari Keel, there he is. He's actually in chat talking to us at the time. During the Black Lives Matter movement, he put up the rest of the stock of the Kickstarter that he had, and he put it up there and he said, hey, I want to sell out the rest of these. I'm going to donate to Black Lives Matter. And it went viral. And all of a sudden, people were like, hey, Danny Quach was the first one to say, hey, whatever people buy, I'm going to match. Wow. And then basically people were matching. The Brothers Murph threw him some money. I bought a copy. And then at the very end of it, I think it was Isaac from Isaac Childress said, hey, I'm going to, whatever you guys raise, I'm going to match it. And he ended up raising like almost $50,000 for Black Lives Matter. It was amazing. And this, I mean, number one, it's, a game by a game theme you don't see very commonly. You also, this is an African-American designer.
Yeah.
We don't have too many of those. The theme, and just the fact that all of this money was raised for a great cause. It meant so much to me. It could have easily been my number one. And the gameplay, it's solid, folks. Mm-hmm. It's a gateway-ish style game. But this is the type of game that younger generation. I mean, we're of a different generation, but I think anyone can enjoy this. It's a really solidly designed game. You're going around the track, trying to collect sets of items, and also you're building your timeline. This timeline is really cool. It's like your rise as a rapper to the top of the rap game. It's so interesting, so thematic. And I love it so much. That's why it's our number 10. It means so much to me, Rap Godz.
Wow, that is an excellent one. That is a very, very tough act to follow, quite frankly, I have to say.
Yeah,
for folks,
if this is my number one.
Yeah, if this is the first time you've seen us, our top 10 is actually my top 5 and Ruel's top 5, and we just kind of back and forth between them. After we're done with this, we're going to continue filming in the extended edition of our show, which you can hit that eye in the top right corner screen or follow the links down in the show notes. You could just jump right to the end of the show where we will talk about our number 10 through 6. And I have something, I think it was my number, it was one of my higher ones on the list. That is the same basic idea where the developer came together with the community to try to go just beyond the realm of board games and to really change the world in a positive way. So I've got a couple of those as well, although that's an amazing story. I didn't know that about Rap Godz at all. And that's incredibly cool. Number 10.
Yeah, very
Rap
thankful.
Godz.
Yes. Very thankful
Now,
for that. Okay,
let's
move on to number 9.
To number 9. Yes. Now, this one, let's see here. Where is it? This is a smaller story. This is just a personal story. I am personally very thankful for Pursuit of Happiness. I am really, really in love with this, admittedly fairly straightforward worker placement game, which is all about a life well lived. It's kind of like the old, was it Milton Bradley Game of Life, but turned into a modern Euro where you're doing really smart and really interesting worker placement too, because your workers actually represent the passage of time. The more you place your workers, the older you get. And this game, charts your life from childhood to old age and death. And the reason I'm so thankful, there's a couple of reasons. One, it is designed by a friend of mine, Dave Chirkop. This was his first really big hit, and you really kind of put him on the map. And in fact, actually, the success of this game ultimately led him to, I helped him a little bit, getting a job in the video game industry. He got a job in the video game industry based off the design of a board game he did. And that's always a really personal and powerful thing for me, because I know it was like his life dream. He was working as a podiatrist, working for the Maltese government, but he wanted to become a video game designer. And I said, well, you publish this. Here's how you pitch it to a video game developer like I used to be to convince them that you're the right man for the job, and it worked. So, for me, it has a really important story there, because I love Dave, and I'm so happy he went on to be big and successful there. But the other thing I love about this game is the stories it tells. It is rare that Jen and I have not played this game, with or without any of the expansions, that by the end, we're not getting misty-eyed. We're not really starting to reflect on our own lives and our own relationships, because this game does everything. There have been, the video I'm showing right now, which is an exclusive video for Patreon backers of the show, Jen and I, we had to stop talking near the end, because I was describing, well, thematically, here's what's happening in my golden, the golden time of my life, and I'm having one last dance with the love of... And I can't talk about it now because I'll start crying. This game really just, it's a simple worker placement game. You could just think about it in terms of, I'm converting one resource into another, whether it's knowledge or, money or whatever it is. But, it is, this is a game where you don't spend all your time killing or, questing or building. This is a game where you spend all your time living, a life well lived. This game has a real important message, I think, and I absolutely love it, which is why I'm very, very thankful for the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, this has long been on my bucket list of games I need to play, and I love I can tell you're getting a little emotional,
yes,
and I love that. I love the fact that games like this exist, because they touch on the. We're not just like mechanically moving stuff around.
Not there's anything wrong with that. I love that.
Yeah, same here. There's nothing wrong with that. But the fact that there are stories that can be told. I love Rap Godz, which are the number 10. Mm-hmm. Same thing. You're literally telling the story of a rapper's life, going from starting as a just a street rapper or whatever, and moving on up in the record industry and so forth. So Pursuit of Happiness. I need to play this. It looks fantastic.
Excellent.
Thank you for sharing that.
All right.
Okay. Let's move on to our number 8. Excuse me. Our number 8 is going to be coming on screen just a second. It is Luzon Rails. And this is a game by Robin David. It was out on Kickstarter a couple of years ago, and it unfortunately hasn't gone to retail, but I believe there are still copies you can get either through him directly or on the secondary market. But this one I'm thankful for because, number one, it's set in the Philippines. Michelle and I are, our heritage. We are both proud Filipino Americans. And there are a very small handful of games with either some kind of a setting or even talking about the Philippines. But this one puts it smack dab in the middle. We are on a big board of the Philippines. This one is actually, the board is so big, I had to turn it sideways to fit it on our screen here. But it's a Cube Rails game, which is I'm a new player of this genre game. It's not quite 18xx. It's not that heavy. But it is a train game, and it is stock manipulation.
So it's like a gateway to 18xx.
Gateway to it, yes.
Okay.
But it's still a little crunchier than your standard. This is definitely no Ticket to Ride, folks. This is the next step up past Ticket to Ride. What I find really clever about this, there are actions that you can see. You can see on the right side of the table there. There are action cards you're going to pick. You choose an action, take it off board, and after each round, you're going to shuffle them up, and they're going to come out. Different ones are going to come out, and you get to play them. You have a few in your hand as well. And what you're trying to do is manipulate stock. You are going to connect routes throughout the Philippines, and then as those get connected, the price is going to go up. So it's that whole, can you manage it to be able to buy low and sell high? That's just like any other stock game, but there are really clever touches. As you're building the terrain, it's going to be tougher to build in certain parts of the Philippines because terrain's going to make it more expensive. Sure. Oh my gosh, I love this game. I really think Michelle and I greatly enjoyed this, not only because of the theme, but also the gameplay. It's smooth, silky smooth. Robin David, he's done a couple other games. He's done this one. He did the very underrated roll and write game called Tag City, which I loved. It's like you're a graffiti artist and you're actually, rolling and writing, putting together like Tetris style pieces. He's a smaller, not as well known designer, but his games are excellent. And Luzon Rails, if you're looking to get into train games that are more than just Ticket to Ride friends, this is a good one. And speaking of Ticket to Ride, me and Michelle actually used our Ticket to Ride trains just sort of as an upgrade. Rather than the cubes, we're like, we can use these here.
A little bling doesn't hurt. Yeah.
It's our own way of blinging it out. But again, the theme, I believe Robin David is not Filipino himself, but I believe his wife is Filipina. And he actually used a Philippine artist as well. Oh, it just culturally, it just means so much to me that I can play a game. Now I'm getting choked up thinking about, where my folks came.
Wow.
They came to we love being, we're so proud to be American, but we are also proud to be Filipino. And this is why it means so much to me. I'm thankful for Luzon Rails, our number 8.
Wow, that is beautiful. I'm ashamed to say I've never heard of it, but it sounds really clever. It sounds really cool, too. That card draft, the derives that you can do, that seems really sharp. Can folks see this run through on your channel?
It is. It's on my. It was on my Twitch channel. It is on my YouTube channel. Now, here's the thing. It is a 3 to 5 player game, but he did include a 2-player variant, which works well. Excellent. It works really well. You're basically playing against a dummy player, and you do actions to block off certain spots. But oh my gosh, I was just saying, we're just gonna end up crying this whole episode.
I will try to keep it cool, Daddy-O, but we will see. Alrighty then. Well, that was a very nice number 8. Let's move on to number 7. I think this one will be a bit of a surprise and kind of out of left field. It's Manhattan Project, The Energy Empire, Cold War expansion, specifically. And there's a reason for that. First of all, Manhattan Project Energy Empire is just an incredibly rockin' worker placement game. One of the best. In my top 10 worker placement games of all time. In my top 30 games of all time. Luke Laurie and Tom Jolly, a team that doesn't always work together, kind of an oddball team, came together and just made one of the greatest worker placement games of all time. About a theme I love, a bright green future. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for telling a story of being able to move away from, all our mistakes from the past and deal with it. But what really puts Cold War specifically on here, I don't know if you know this, Manhattan Project Energy Empire was originally published by Minion Games, which was headed by James Matthey, who was a legend in the industry. Everybody loved him. I mean, he always had time for everybody. He was an early person trying to help build the board game media sphere, trying to create resources so publishers could find new fledgling channels. Just the nicest guy, a real pillar, a cornerstone of the community, and he sadly died a few years ago. And tragically passed away. And it was after the Manhattan Project Energy Empire Cold War finished its Kickstarter run. And it was like, oh, well, yeah, I guess he died. I guess we won't get that expansion. That's fine. I mean, we're not going to complain. We were really excited about it because, this new Cold War expansion adds a bunch of really interesting stuff. And this is not the first time this has happened. But I'm so thankful for this because Grail Games, a great little publisher, small independent publisher in their own right, stepped up, took over the project. I am certain at a pretty big loss at the end of the day to get it finished and get it into the hands of everybody. I've got my copy of it right over there because this is one of the last games I ever backed on Kickstarter, and I thought I'd never get it. And I'm thankful that I got it now, but I'm more thankful to what it represents because we have seen this happen several times when projects have fallen through and other publishers have stepped up and said, we will carry it across the finish line. And I think that is just incredibly beautiful. That is not something you see pretty much in any other industry. We are still a small enough niche little hobby that everybody knows everybody by name, and everybody wants to succeed, but not at the expense of everybody else. Everybody wants to help everybody else too. And the existence of this game really helps solidify that. It is for me a potent reminder of the power that board games have to bring people together, not just across the table, but to bring publishers together. Grail Games helped out. Because James' wife's supposed to. I have no idea what to do, folks. I'm at a loss. I've lost my husband. I don't know how to finish this. And Grail stepped up. And here's the beautiful capper to the whole story. This is the box cover. Grail did not put their name on the box cover.
Oh, wow.
They put Minion on the box cover. And
wow.
that's just classy.
Yeah. That's
So,
nothing but class. That's class. That's, oh. Wow. I didn't know this story. Yeah, I didn't know the story. That's wonderful. What a, just thinking about his wife and, what I can't even imagine having to go through that. And then, just as a, the final part of his legacy to do that.
Yeah.
It's just so wonderful. And you're right about the board game industry. We're so fortunate to work in an industry where we do know each other by first name, and things like this happen all the time on a smaller scale basis. Where publishers work together, and then we all want each other to succeed. It's not a cutthroat business. I mean, I cannot thank my.
It will be
I'm
someday
thankful for that.
I mean, someday
Maybe.
it will be big enough that the tenor changes, but. I mean, we should all enjoy and love. And if ever you are frustrated because you think a publisher has screwed you because they're late on a game, remember, folks, everybody does this. Nobody does this to get rich. Everybody's doing it as a passion, a labor of love. And certainly that's what Grail did, getting our number 7, Manhattan Project Energy Empire Cold Wars into the hands is, like I said, the final legacy for the great James Matthew.
What a wonderful! Thank you for sharing that. That I had no idea, and I think that's just nothing but class. You're right. Let's move on to our number 6, friends.
Okay.
Our number 6 is another surprise. I think Thanos Rising, Avengers: Infinity War.
What?
Yeah. Why am I thankful for this game, Richard?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm thankful for this game. My niece is MCU fan. She's she's in the MCU. She, loves playing games with her Uncle Ruel, thankfully, still does. And this game I had a few years ago, and I, had it, and she's like, "Hey, Uncle, can we play that?" I was like, "Of course. Anytime I'll play anything, anytime with my family." And we brought this out, and I'm thankful because we had one of the funniest moments. So it's a cooperative game, folks. You are, playing as the Avengers, trying to beat Thanos. He's trying to collect the stones. This is the Rising series of games by the They're wonderful. They have a bunch of different themes.
Yes.
They have Harry Potter.
Yep.
They have a Star Wars game, which I'm still trying to get my whole hands on because it's not in North America.
Oh, really?
They also have they also have a SpongeBob one. But anyways, Avengers. I love the Thanos figure. It's right there in the center. And what you're doing is playing cards and rolling dice. Very simple, not simple, but very straightforward set collection game. You're trying to get them, and then Thanos, every turn, he's going to be moving and attacking and collecting those stones, and if he gets all of them, then you lose. Me and my niece, we played for about 15 minutes, and we got crushed. We lost immediately. I was like, and, I wasn't sure if she wanted to play again. She's, we're both sort of bummed. And she's like, "Hold on, Uncle." So she runs out, and I was like, where'd she go? She went to get her mom's phone, and on her mom's phone, she came back, and she looked it up on YouTube, and she got the Avengers theme music on YouTube. A 10-hour mix. I didn't know it was a thing. And she's like, she puts it on, and just that classic theme comes on, and she's like, "Now we can play." I was like, yes. And sure enough, we got down, I kid you not, the very next day we crushed Thanos. We beat him. And it was like, I'm thankful for that. That's what, board games are all about. That connection. I love my niece. I will never forget that story. She's a big, a Disney fan. She's, she's watching all the stuff that I watch, Tron, Star Wars, all the MCU stuff. I love that we can connect that way, but we can bring that connection over to board games. And, I will always remember we went 1-for-1 against Thanos. We stopped after that, but I will always have that memory. And that's why I'm thankful for Thanos Rising, because me and my niece beat Thanos. And that's why we're thankful for Thanos Rising, Avengers Infinity War.
Hey, Ruel, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Which, there's your geek card, folks. If you understood what that meant, let us know down in the comments. You're like, why is Rahdo saying that? Well, because we're both.
I was gonna answer with "I love you 3000," but I don't want any more tears being shed on the show.
Cool.
But yeah, let's move on
how
to number
old
5.
is your niece when this was happening?
At the time, she was still in elementary school, I think. So I don't know however old that is.
That is amazing to me. I mean, so what does that make her? 7, 8, and she was able to go out and pull up an Avengers playlist for you to play?
I know. I was
She's
just like,
a sharp
what?
little cookie there. Well done. Wow.
Way smarter than I was. She's amazing. So yeah, that's our number. I love it for that moment right then and there. But it's solid game as well. Really cool cooperative game.
Okay, cool. Well, cool.
Okay.
All right, that's beautiful. I have a personal story like that coming up a little bit too. But the next one on the list, number 5 on the list, is another weird one. Another weird, oddball, quirky thing. It's Feierabend from Freedom and Freeze, 2F Spiele Games. And I would be surprised if anybody watching this says, "Oh right, Feierabend," because this was one of Freedom and Freeze, the designer. Oh man. Still, okay, this one I'm going to be able to keep it cool on. He's the designer of Power Grid. That's his biggest game name to fame. But ever since Power Grid, I mean, that was such a big success, he has always just been able to do weird, quirky experiments. Every game he puts out, I'm always excited to give it a try. Even when they don't quite hit with us, I'm still like, oh, I'm glad I saw that, because he's just doing really interesting off-the-wall stuff. And Feierabend is no different. Feierabend is a German word. It does not have a direct translation into English. It is the feeling of joy at the end of a day of work. It's Feierabend. It's kind of like a time of day. It's how you feel at that time. It's when you finally get to go home. Of course, it's also chosen that because every one of his games starts with the letter F. In English, I believe it's called Finishing Time, the English version of it. But why I'm excited about this, it's actually right here on Board Game Geek in the description. Workers try to relax in after-hour activities and fight for better working conditions. And this is really just a stand-in proxy for so many games that have come out over the years that are more than just pushing cubes around or rolling dice to slay plastic monsters, that actually have something to say, that actually have something to teach. And the thing about this game is, it's interesting, this is a worker placement game. It's a really standard thing where, I've got all my workers, I, one by one put them out on the board, and then eventually I bring them all back, and put them back in the supply, waiting to go out again. The bringing them all back means going to work. And when you're placing your workers, it's like, I've gotten off work. I can go on vacation. I can go hang out at my apartment. I can do things with my loved ones. And this is a game, kind of like my earlier entry, all about, trying to get away from the rat race and really focus on what's important in life. Fun, friends, family, experiences. And this game turns that into a fun, crunchy Euro worker placement style game. And just that would be enough. But one of the actions you can do in this game, instead of just going on holiday or whatever, is you can, when they come off work, they can go on strike. And there's this whole little sub game where you can earn these strike tokens, and the more of them you have, they are literally the most powerful tool in the game, because they can literally change the nature of the game. If workers come together in this game and are willing to put their own free life, which is what they're, I could just go on vacation, I could just, and just go back to my skull-crushing job tomorrow, or I can actually stop making income, which you stop making money, to instead get the bargaining power that we get through our strike chips and fundamentally change the nature of the game. I love that story that this game tells. And, this is one of many. I could have easily made this entry This War of Mine. There's lots of games, or Freedom, the Underground Railroad. But this one speaks to me so much because, in our modern day, where unions across the board have been just so weakened and they're so embattled, to have a game that is an ode, a peon, and is a literal blueprint showing how they can make everyone's life better through communal, collective activism. I was just blown away when I played this game. I didn't expect this. I thought this was going to be a silly little game about going on vacation, and it can be, but there's a lot more to it, a lot more in Feierabend, and I'm just really thankful that Freedom and Freeze decided to make such a quirky, offbeat game that celebrates something that's just not as celebrated in our lives as it should be.
Oh, wow. What a great choice. Yeah, I've never heard of this game. I'm totally interested in it now. I love, I can't even say the word, but I love that word that it, captures that feeling at the end of the day.
Finishing time is the English. I forget who brought it over to, to outside of Germany.
Yeah, I love the fact that you pick this game that you play and it's like, okay, it's probably gonna be this light little thing, but then all of a sudden it has that, again, a little more depth to it than you expect. That's great.
Yep.
Okay, great choice. Let's move on. What are we at now? Our number 4. This game means a lot to me, and I'll tell you in just a second. This is an older game called Dragon Run. I'm gonna mention 2 names. You may have heard them, folks: Bruno Cathala and Vincent Dutray. This is a game featuring Bruno Cathala design. It's a 15-minute game. It's a very light game. Basically, your adventures, and you're going in to loot and trying to avoid being burned to a crisp by the dragon. You're
a
just
very
playing
pretty
cards.
dragon.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. And it's got a really cool dragon meeple as well. It's a very light push your luck game. You're trying to see, okay, am I going to get treasures? And at the end of the game, whoever has most gold wins. The reason why I'm thankful for this is the first game I ever played at a game meetup. The first time I went to a game meetup, when I got into the hobby, 7 years ago, I just played games at home. I soloed games. I played games with my family. And then I finally got the nerve to go, hey, there's a local meatup at my comic book store. Yeah, I was like, hey, I found it on BGG. There, people meet here. I'm going to go there. I knew no one. At that point, I'd played Ticket to Ride, Pandemic, Zombie Dice, and a couple of Munchkin, stuff like that.
And just with your friends and family?
Just the friends and family.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. I walked in there. I introduced myself. They said, you want to play Dragon Run? I was like, I have no idea what it is. Let's play. And we had a great time. I just, from there, I had such a good time. I played that in another game. I started going every week, and once a week I would show up every week, and I became one of the regulars, and I actually ended up becoming like sort of one of the leaders of the group there.
Oh, wow.
And it's because of this game. It was, not only was it, for me, it was easy enough to grasp. Again, I'm going from like Ticket to Ride and Pandemic, folks. We're not heavy games at all.
Right.
But this one was right around my wheelhouse, and I remember, I look back years ago, what else was everyone else playing? I remember there was a couple of guys playing Pathfinder, and that probably might have melted my brain at the time.
At the time,
So
wow, yes.
Yeah.
You
So
could have had a
thankfully
very bad first experience.
Exactly, right? So this is the one that really got my interest. And, by this time, and a couple of weeks later, I was playing stuff like Euphoria from Stonemaier Games and some other games. So I also found my first Knizia game, Samurai, at this meetup. So it's because of this one that got me in. It was, simple enough for me to play. Yet I had fun with it. We all had a couple of good laughs because there's different characters that you play. And one of the actions, this is the thing that made me laugh, and we always laugh about this because we have played it over the years. There's an action called Cry Like a Baby. So you can either charge in and fight, you can take treasures, or you can just cry like a baby and get 2 gold. And we always crack up about that. We reference that in other games. But again, I'm thankful for this because this is the first game I ever played at a game meetup. Dragon Run by Bruno Cathala with art by Vincent Dutray.
That is fantastic. I love that. Yeah, and I could totally imagine. I mean, I don't have a story like that because I started playing with Jen, and that's pretty much still what I do to this day. But, yeah. I mean, if they'd been playing Mage Knight or Hansa Teutonica, you could have thought, maybe I should just stick with Michelle and Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, I would have taken that action, cry like a baby, and then gone home probably.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm very, very thankful for my first experience with Dragon Run.
Well, that is fantastic. Let's move on to another one. Number 3 on the list is very near and dear to me and my wife, Jen. It's Dixit.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see here. Here's me and Jen and some friends of ours in Malta playing it for a live run through. Do I need to describe Dixit? I mean, it's maybe one of the ultimate party games. Somebody picks a word that is inspired by one of the cards in their hand. Everybody else tries to find a card that matches that word. We, shuffle them all up, reveal them, and everybody tries to figure out, well, which was the one that was mine when I came up with the word sarsaparilla or whatever it might have been. Super simple to play. And the reason, this is so important to me is not the gameplay, is not the amazing art. It is the fact that when Jen and I were living in Malta, there was a time when Jen's folks, her dad and her stepmom, would come over once a year and visit us. And we, as a foursome, would travel all over Europe and Africa, for that matter. And whenever that was the case, I would always try to take some games to play along. And Dixit, which, if you want to, you can have Dixit be nothing other than just a deck of cards. You do not need the board. You do not need the markers. You just need the deck of cards and something to keep track of score. And, it doesn't have to be anything fancier than everybody just revealing 3 or 1 or 2. It doesn't have to be, any of the fancy components, just the cards. So it was like one of our ultimate, hey, just take this anywhere kind of games. And if we were ever found ourselves in a place where, we're sitting at a table with other people because we're in some kind of tour or something like that, what are we going to do? Well, I've got this deck of beautiful cards. You want to play some Dixit? So, I mean, I have played this game with Jen and her parents so many times, and we have so many fond memories of this from all over Europe and Africa. We played this on the Matterhorn. We played this on safari in Botswana. And the other thing, too, that is so meaningful, I mean, Jen's dad, who was actually an accounting professor, he never really showed any interest in any kind of game, no matter which ones I tried that had any kind of real calculations and whatnot. But he just really took to this, and Ed is his name. His brain is so different than anybody else's. Whenever it was his turn to come up with a word and then play and everybody's like, and we could always tell his, because his was the one card that had nothing to do with the word that he said, inevitably, without fail. And Jen and I still laugh about that to this day. So we just have so many personal family memories from this game. I could have also, at the same time, I could have put Hanabi in this space as well. It's almost a tie between the two, because that was another great one. And but that one led to some frustration, because Ed was never really, he would just give the same clue. Ed, you already told me about that one. You don't have to tell me again and stuff like that. Whereas Dixit was just about perfect. And it's why it is our number 3 most thankful game of all time. Dixit.
That's so cool. I love that you have so many different stories associated with one game, and talking about Gen Z, that's fantastic. That's what we're all about, friends. Connecting with each other over at the tabletop over different games, and the fact that you play this on the Matterhorn and also in Africa, and everything, that's a well-traveled game, my friend. That's great.
Yes. Oh yeah, those are some beat-up cards. You can tell pretty easily the promo cards we've got are the ones from the expansions compared to the original deck.
Nice. Oh, great. Okay, let's move on to our number 2 game.
What do we got?
Thankful for. I'm going to assume that you've never talked about this following game on this channel at all. Lords and Ladies. This is a card game, and it's sort of got that whole Downton Abbey feel, upstairs, downstairs, and I am playing the game there with Becca Scott and
Look at you all dressed up very fancy with no beard.
Yes. It's a fancy game. It's it's all about the Brits and their social circles and what you're trying to do.
Look at you! You weigh like 30 more pounds.
Look at that. And you're trying to grow through generations.
Sorry, yes, talking about the game. Talking about the game.
Yeah. You're pairing up, lords and ladies to increase their family size and their influence. You're trying to marry up socially in order to get more points. You get gold coins. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most gold wins. I actually think it's a race to 30. But there's a lot of take that in this game, which you never would have thought. But there is take that. You play gossip cards because the social circles are going to be talking about, so-and-so's got, had a baby out of wedlock and stuff like that. So you play take that cards. The thing, though, that's interesting, if you play a gossip card, someone else has to play the exact same one, then it becomes take that. If it isn't, then it doesn't take place. But here's the thing. Why is it my number 2 most thankful game for? I'm going to tell you this right now, Richard. If it wasn't for this game, I would not be here talking to you right now. Okay. This is the first time I ever got on camera to play a game or talk about a game or anything. I was working for Geek and Sundry at the time, but I was a writer. So I wrote articles about games. I interviewed store owners, stuff like that. My editor at the time, Terry, shout out to Terry, she said, "Hey, Ruel, would you ever want to be on Game the Game with Becca?" I was like, of course. I mean, you're going to pay me to go hang out with Becca Scott and play games, or you're going to feed me, you're going to play me. I mean, this is like, a Real On Studio, Legendary Studios owned Geek and Sundry at the time. I don't know if they still do, but I went to the studio, I spent a whole day there, and I got to know everyone, and Becca, we just a wonderful host, wonderful person. I became friends with her and the director, Jake Michaels. They invited me back several times on the show. Yeah. And it just gave me the confidence to say, hey, I can be on camera. And, I was nervous as heck. I don't know if you can tell there, but I was so nervous. And I was like, just play the game, enjoy. And, it's because of that experience I decided, hey, when the pandemic hit, I asked Michelle and Lauren, you want to live stream games?
Wow.
And everything I know about hosting a game, I learned from Becca. I kid you not, because she is a pro. She's pro's pro. Just, if I can even do it 1/100th of as good as she did, then I'm doing an okay job. I look at her as a mentor, and it's because of the confidence I built and just the fact that they invited me back so many times, and I was able to say, hey, I'm going to live stream a game now, and I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and so that's why it's my number one game that I'm thankful for, because it put me in this chair right now. Being able to work with you for the last year is because of my experience on Game the Game.
Wow. And is the game good?
It's okay. I'm not gonna try to. I'm not gonna say it's the greatest game. It's not the worst game for me. Honestly, the thing that is a little, and you could fix this. It goes on a little too long for what it is.
Okay.
It's very light. It's about 45 minutes. It should be a 20-minute game, honestly.
Yeah.
But there are ways to fix that. We played the whole game for the video, which is fine. But the thing that made it a lot of fun was just the role playing. Like you're doing,
yes.
You
Dressed
just
up
get
like
in the
that
character.
too.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. So for a fun light game, I definitely recommend just find a way to shorten it, which is just play with fewer points. That's all. But that's our number 2, Lords and Ladies.
Okay, that's an excellent one, but we saved the best for last. I know this is probably be a pretty important game for you too, but yeah, number 1, you know what it is, right? It's probably not a big surprise.
I was going to put it on my list. Yeah, I was going to put it on my list, but
we haven't figured this out. Ruel, what do you guess my number 1 most thankful game is?
Pandemic, right?
Hey, good guess. Good guess. Yup. And I mean, this is my origin story game. I mean, Ruel just had a couple of, different ones, but, actually, like by count, like 3 or so. But this is the game. For folks who don't know, if you do a search on Google for Rahdo First 10 Games, I tell the story in great detail about how I was looking for a game for my wife and I to play while we were going to be doing a road trip through France. And I was just looking for a copy of Travel Scrabble, but I accidentally found myself in a game store, Blue Highway Games in Seattle, Washington, and they said, I will not sell you this Travel Scrabble. You tell me who you are, what you like, and I'll find the right game for you. And they gave us Pandemic. And Jen and I, we had a great road trip, seeing Mont Saint Michel and all kinds of places on the west coast of France, but none of that held a candle to rushing back to the camper van every night to play Pandemic and lose, again, under a fluorescent light. And when we got home, I mean, that just changed the direction of my life completely. That was when I was still a full-time and very ardent video game player and maker. I was a creative director in the video game industry. But within 2 years, give or take, of playing Pandemic for the first time, I had retired from the video game industry because board games had so thoroughly and completely supplanted any love or enjoyment I could get out of playing video games, because board games are just so much better for my taste anyway. And I owe it all to just a lucky happenstance that I happened to find that clerk who refused to sell me Travel Scrabble. I did end up getting a copy of Travel Scrabble too, and we did take it, and we didn't play it once. I still hold on to it as a representation of the road that could have been. But Pandemic put me on the best road for me and my wife living our best lives. So I am forever, and I've told designer Matt Leacock this in person and embarrassed the heck out of him, how he completely, radically changed the direction of my life for the better. And I'll be forever thankful to Pandemic. Never mind the fact that it's absolutely an amazing game, and Pandemic Legacy Season 1, which we're showing here, has also given me the single greatest gameplay experience of any genre, of any game type of my entire life. Pandemic, number 1.
Yeah, no surprises there. Pandemic also, folks, real quick, that's the game that got me into the hobby as well. I watched it on Will Wheaton's tabletop. I said, that looks cool. I bought a game as a present to myself on my birthday. Michelle and I played it. She didn't really enjoy it as much as I did, but I ended up soloing it for a month straight, and that pretty much launched me into the hobby.
So this would have been on your list, but you knew it was going to be on mine.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, and I love that, again, that story. It's the story, the connections, and how our lives have changed, for the better because of board games. It's just, there's something about that, these little bits of cardboard and dice and meeples and stuff. Heck, they change our lives, and I cannot be more thankful for all of these games. So,
and not for nothing too, Pandemic. I'm also thankful that it is a game. It came out in 2008, 2009 that said, "Hey, how about we have a game that celebrates something other than heroes slaying monsters or rich people getting richer." Which were really, those are the two things you could do. You could be a wizard fighting monsters, or you could be a captain of industry getting richer. And hey, how about we just be first responders, bravely saving the planet? How about we make a game about that? Really ahead of its time, Pandemic.
Seriously, the true heroes, right?
Yes.
The true heroes of everyday life, and let's put them front and center. I love that too. The scientists, love it.
All right, well, that's it, folks. our 10 favorite game, or not 10 favorite games, our 10 games we are most thankful for. And were you listening? Did you hear one of us say the word Tron at some point? And I put on the Tron colors. Let me go back over to the overhead view one more time. I've got mine set to Tron. So it's not now that we're saying Tron, but on one of those 10 games, Ruel or I said Tron, and if you heard it, then send the name of that game as the subject to contest@rahdo.com to win either this awesome mat with the LED stripes. Let me turn the sparkly lights back on just to celebrate a little bit more when they start animating. There we go. Or let's not forget, this absolutely amazing, one of the best gamer bags I have ever seen, with all the flexibility it has, the Adventurer, with the way that you can actually strap your game mats on, the way you can reconfigure the straps so they work for you better, the endless amounts of storage and sub-storage that it has, the waterproofedness, a lot to be thankful for right there from a sponsor of the show, Crafting Kingdoms. And if you want to win this or that, folks, get that email going and send it in, the name of the game in the subject, and we will enter you to win on the next time we film an R&R show. And, by the way, I should say, folks, if you're looking at it now, you're saying, hey, why don't I see them now? Remember, my camera is low so that I'm kind of above it. This is like, if you have your eyes down like this, you can't really see the color around. But if you're sitting up or standing, I can see it just fine. So just wanted to mention that. That's why I had the overhead camera so you could see. Ruel, are we Dunsville?
We are Dunsville for now, and we just want to say thanks again to everyone for joining us. And if you celebrate, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yes, definitely. And if you would like a little bit more, folks, hit that eye in the top right corner screen or follow the links down in the show notes to go to the extended version of this. You will be able to skip to exactly the end of this show, because right now we are leaving this show behind, but in the extended version of the show, we are telling our other top 10, our numbers 10 through 6, and then that man is actually going to be live streaming Helionox Chronicles, which is ending its run on Kickstarter very soon. So if you want to check that stuff out, you'll be able to see all of that. But that is it, folks. Thank you, Ruel, for being the best co-host ever. Thank you, audience, for being the best audience ever and for supporting the show. And of course, thanks to a sponsor of the show, Crafting Kingdoms. Have a very nice day, everybody. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.